Dior Homme Sport is probably a fragrance that you are overlooking because of the name, but let me tell you, that name is extremely confusing. This is not a sports fragrance at all, and I'm happy about that. In this video, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know, but this fragrance also left me very, very confused. Why? Well, I'll get into that. But first, I want to show you the presentation. So the fragrance comes in this box here. This is the box that Dior Homme Sport comes in. Very, very plain, very, very simple. Not much to it at all. It does say the Dior and logo and Sport there. On the bottom, it does say the concentration of the fragrance, some information, and the batch code. And on the top, there is the Dior B. And that's about it for the box. And then when you look at the bottle, it looks like pretty much every other Dior Homme fragrance, you know, except it does say Sport here. It does have a thick stem, but inside there is a small little straw. That's where the fragrance sprays from. Dior logo on the top. On the bottom, you're getting some stamped information that tells you that this is 125 milliliters and the batch code, which is 3B01. Dior Homme Sport was perfumed by François Demachy, and it was made in 2022 in France, and it is eau de toilette concentration. The real name for this is called Dior Homme Sport 2021, but it actually came out in 2022. So different places you will look, it will say a different name. So it's either the 2021 or 2022. They're both the same fragrance, and it's this one. So that may confuse you a little bit. Something that else may confuse you is the name of this fragrance, because let me tell you, it's not a sports fragrance at all, in my opinion. Now, I was very, very confused when I smelled this fragrance because when I see the name Sport, I was expecting something you can wear to the gym out that's gonna refresh you, cool you down during sports. Your heart rate, body temperature is elevated, so you want something to cool that down, right? That's not the case at all. This is absolutely more versatile than a sports fragrance, which I will detail now. First, let's go over the listed notes. So the top notes is lemon, bergamot, and aldehydes, with the mid notes being elemi and pink pepper, and the base notes, woody notes, olibanum, and amber. This is a very citrusy fragrance with a little bit of a fresh air vibe going through it and a heavy dose of woods and fresh spices on the top. The pink pepper really does shine here, and that's kind of why I say that this is not just a sports fragrance, because although the blend of this is very, very smooth, the fact that the woody nature creeps up with those fresh spicy vibes in the background, maybe a little bit of musk, kind of gives this fragrance like the versatility of an Aventus like. Now, I'm not saying that this is a Aventus clone. I'm not saying that at all, actually. But what I'm saying is any situation you can get away with an Aventus like fragrance, you can totally get away with Dior Homme Sport. And in fact, I wouldn't even wear this at the gym because I don't even find it really refreshing at all. So that's why I mean that the name is very confusing. And that's why I think that this is probably not going to sell like they wanted to, because this is a very mislabeled fragrance. Very mislabeled. Sure, you could get away with it for sports and activities. I honestly thought that when I smelt this on someone, it was an inspired Aventus DNA. Although it doesn't share direct similarities, I think that it can totally be used in the similar situations that Aventus would be. This is for like the classier, upper class man though. It's not like very playful and sweet and youthful. It's a very, very well blended, matured, kind of sophisticated kind of man. You know, classy, very classy. The perfumery is done very nice. It's very smooth. It's a masculine boss type of scent that you can totally wear in the office or to school or dressed up, dressed down. The versatility to this is actually a lot better than some people are going to tell you. It can carry you to most seasons, but the aldehydes and the bright nature of this fragrance is going to make a lot of people say that this is a spring summer fragrance. I disagree. That's fine. You can wear this all year round in my opinion, but to each their own. Now, I don't really see a similarity to any other Dior Homme flanker other than Dior Homme 2020. Like, this does share elements with Dior Homme 2020, but other than that, it doesn't really have a Dior Homme feel. There's no iris in here. There's no powdery nature in my opinion. So this is its own thing, and it's really good because of that. Now, this does smell great, but it's not pushing any boundaries by scent profile, but you don't always have to push boundaries. This is a mass appealing fragrance a lot of people are going to love. And honestly, I gotta tell you that you're doing yourself a disservice if you have not at least tried this fragrance. So obviously that's going to get a better appreciation by the 25 and up crowd smelling something like this. It's a masculine, matured kind of boss scent with class. Now, another thing that surprised me, I'm telling you, this fragrance is just full of surprises, because another thing that surprised me is the performance. The performance to this being eau de toilette concentration genuinely shocked me. As you know, if you want performance, Dior will always have your back. Most fragrances from Dior, except maybe Dior Homme Cologne, have very good performance. This is no exception to that. Even though this is eau de toilette, I was getting average between 6 to 8 hours of longevity off of my skin, which I think is very, very good for an eau de toilette, especially with a very heavy citrus opening. I did not expect that at all. Now, the projection is not beastly. Like, this is a classy type of scent profile, like I've said. Good for the office. It's not gonna scream in anyone's face. It's about 2 feet for the initial opening. The citruses do brighten up this fragrance with the aldehydes, but it's definitely only for the first, let's say, hour to 3 hours where those citruses are really popping and are in the forefront of this fragrance. Now, after about 2 to 3 hours, it does back its way a little bit closer to the skin. Like I said, it's not a beast mode fragrance, but in that 2 to 3 hour mark and afterwards, you're still getting projection. It's still projecting after the 2 to 3 hour initial mark, but it just starts to slowly back its way closer to your skin. All the way up to the 6 hour mark, I was still getting projection. Not as much, obviously, but it still was going. And then around the 6 hour mark, that's when those woods and everything start to engulf the fragrance, basically. The woods and the spice and kind of like a musky scent profile. And at that 2 to 3 hour range, those citruses start to fade and then the woods start to take over this fragrance. The fresh, spicy, aromatic nature of this fragrance starts to take it over. It's less bright and airy and more woody. Kind of like when you picture like on a warm sunny day, the sun is out and then the clouds go over it and it casts a shadow. That's kind of what happens with this fragrance, you know? And obviously those citruses are gonna fade out first, if anything, right? But yeah, so after about 6 hours or so, it did progress into a skin scent and lasted on my skin 6 to 8 hours, usually right around that 7, just towards the 8 hour mark. I never got more than 8 hours, but I usually always got 7. So I say comfortably 6 to 8 hours. That's really, really good. I did not expect this kind of performance at all out of a sports fragrance. I honestly was very, very impressed by this. Does a fragrance like this get compliments? Well, I mean, I don't know if it really says much, but I did get compliments wearing this. When I was in a custom suit store in Toronto, I was getting a suit and the sales associate really wanted to know what I was wearing and said it smelled very, very good. And this was maybe 4 or 5 hours after I sprayed it. I guess I was radiating that much. It was a very, very warm, sunny day here in Toronto, and I got a compliment on this. I got multiple compliments on this fragrance, even though it was a fragrance that I did not expect to get compliments on. The only complaint I would say I have about this fragrance is that it doesn't really push boundaries. It's very, very safe, and that's not a bad thing at all. Okay, all those nice things, but what does it cost? Are you robbing us blind of our money? Is this a $400 fragrance? No. No. So retail, it is a little bit more expensive because it is Dior. Dior doesn't have really cheap fragrances, but the 125 ml is around $170 Canadian retail. But I bought mine on Perfume Online. The 125 ml was $138. Still expensive, yes, but it's definitely worth it in my opinion. And that's why I'm going to give Dior Homme Sport an 8.5 out of 10. Stop doing yourself a disservice and go smell Dior Homme Sport. And let me know what you guys think of this fragrance in the comments below. But what does Dior Homme smell like? Well, check out my review for the original Dior Homme right here. Thanks for watching and I'll see you over there.